Fatima stands paralyzed before her massive, custom-built walk-in closet. It is violently bursting at the seams with luxury goods. Clothes are packed so tightly the metal bars bow under the immense weight. Shelves overflow dangerously with designer bags in every color. She reaches out tentatively to pull a single silk blouse. This tiny movement triggers a catastrophic tremor. Suddenly, with a deafening crash, a massive, unstoppable avalanche of fabric, leather, and heavy boxes tumbles down, burying her alive under a suffocating mountain of her own expensive possessions. The scene opens in an ultra-luxurious, high-end fashion boutique, a veritable temple of consumerism. The lighting is bright, polished, and flattering, designed to make everything sparkle and entice the eye. Fatima is at the very center, looking immaculate in her emerald green hijab and designer outfit. Her arms are laden with multiple glossy, oversized shopping bags from various luxury brands. She stands at the polished marble counter, handing a sleek, limitless black credit card to a smiling sales associate. For a fleeting moment, Fatima feels a powerful rush of adrenaline, an addictive dopamine high of artificial worth. She feels powerful, successful, worthy, and envied by those around her. The colors are incredibly rich and saturated. Gold fixtures gleam, silk fabrics shine with promise. It is a perfect performance of wealth and status. Yet, look closely at her eyes. The smile doesn't reach them. There is a profound hollowness behind the makeup. She is compulsively buying things she doesn't need, trying desperately to fill an inner spiritual void that cannot be filled with material goods. The transaction is quick, painless, and dangerously addictive. She leaves feeling temporarily lighter, unaware of the spiritual weight added to her soul. Fatima returns to her spacious penthouse apartment. She enters her massive walk-in closet, already overflowing, intensely from floor to ceiling. She drops the heavy new bags on the floor and sighs, the excitement fading fast into emptiness. She takes out a stunning new designer dress, realizing, with a jolt, it is identical to others she owns. She tries to jam a new hanger onto a rack that is impossibly full. Hangers clash loudly, clothes slide off in heaps onto the floor. Frustrated and overwhelmed, she kicks a pile of expensive shoes out of the way angrily. She stands amidst thousands of dollars of clothing and mutters the infamous lie with genuine belief, "I have absolutely nothing to wear." The sheer volume of stuff feels suddenly claustrophobic and oppressive. The vibrant colors clash chaotically, creating visual noise that gives her a headache. The closet, meant to be a sanctuary of luxury, feels like a padded cell of her own making. The new items have lost their shine, adding to the mountain of dissatisfaction. Later that evening, Fatima is dining at an exclusive, expensive restaurant with wealthy friends. The table groans under an excessive amount of food. Appetizers, main courses, and desserts are piled high. It is far more food than the group could ever eat. Fatima takes perfect photos of the spread for social media, ensuring the lighting is right. Then she takes only a few dainty bites of a lobster dish and pushes the full plate away, declaring she is stuffed. The waiter arrives to clear the table. He stacks plate after plate of perfectly good, untouched, high-quality food. As the food is taken to be dumped in the trash, The warm restaurant lighting seems to shift sickeningly. The food looks suddenly unappealing, gray and sickly, a visual representation of the ugliness of waste. Fatima doesn't notice. She is engrossed in the dessert menu, completely disconnected from the reality of the blessings she is throwing away, while others starve. Some days later, Fatima sits dejectedly on her bedroom floor, surrounded by the debris of her compulsive spending. It's a veritable graveyard of wasted money and resources. There are piles of clothes with expensive price tags still on them, never worn once. A large box overflows with expensive makeup that expired before she could use it halfway. Gadgets bought on a whim lie abandoned in corners. She picks up a designer handbag she had to have, but hasn't touched in months. The objects seem to stare back at her, silent, accusing witnesses of her extravagance. The air in the room feels heavy, stagnant, and suffocating. The overwhelming gold and rich colors of her decor now feel garish and oppressive. She feels a profound, aching emptiness right in the middle of this plenty. The sheer physical weight of these unappreciated blessings presses down tangibly on her spirit, creating deep anxiety and restlessness she cannot shake. Fatima stands rigidly on a plush, incredibly expensive velvet prayer mat that is embroidered with real gold thread, positioned in the corner of her beautifully decorated room. She is ready to perform her daily prayer. Physically, she goes through the motions perfectly. Her posture is correct, her recitation is fluent and rhythmic, but her heart is completely absent, utterly detached from the act of worship she is performing. Her mind is not on Allah, nor on gratitude for the countless blessings He has showered upon her life. Instead, her thoughts are entirely, obsessively at the mall. She is mentally planning every detail of her next elaborate outfit for an upcoming high society wedding, visualizing the colors and fabrics. She is calculating exactly how much money is left in her bank account for a new pair of designer shoes she saw online. The true, immense blessings she actually possesses right now, her perfect health, her safety, her sight, her loving family, the very breath in her lungs, are completely invisible and irrelevant to her. She takes them entirely and arrogantly for granted. Her spiritual vision is clouded by a thick, impenetrable layer of materialism and worldly desire. It's as if her eyes are literally covered in gold leaf. She can only see the temporary glitter of this world, completely blind to the reality of the hereafter and the giver of all gifts. The next day, Fatima walks quickly out of a high-end, brightly lit coffee shop, holding an expensive, customized latte in a disposable cup. Near the entrance, there is a conspicuous, large charity collection box for famine relief, plastered with heartbreaking, graphic pictures of starving children with distended bellies. A little further down the street, a visibly needy and frail woman, Amina, is sitting quietly on the cold ground, holding out a small cup and asking humbly for help. Fatima walks right past both the box and the woman without even breaking her stride or acknowledging their existence with a glance. She has a designer handbag casually slung over her shoulder, containing a wallet stuffed with cash and multiple high-limit credit cards. Yet an automatic, callous, and selfish thought flashes instantly through her mind. I can't afford to give anything today. I just spent so much on coffee and this new bag. It is a lie that comes easily and naturally from a heart hardened by years of selfishness and constant indulgence. She doesn't feel even a twinge of guilt or empathy. Her conscience has been dulled into absolute silence by constant, unchecked indulgence. She clutches her expensive coffee tighter and looks away deliberately, refusing to make eye contact with the reality of suffering that surrounds her. Her abundance has not made her generous. It has made her stingy, cold, and emotionally disconnected from humanity. Fatima is back in her overflowing, oppressive closet, frantically and desperately looking for a specific silk scarf to match her outfit. She pulls impatiently at a large, heavy box stacked precariously high on a top shelf that is already groaning under the weight. The movement destabilizes the entire teetering, overloaded structure of Hoard. With a terrifying, deafening crash that shakes the room, shelves give way completely. Dozens of heavy shoeboxes, designer handbags, and huge piles of neatly folded clothes cascade down on her in a violent, overwhelming wave. She falls to the floor, literally buried alive under a suffocating mountain of her own expensive possessions. For a terrifying moment, she genuinely cannot breathe. The sheer weight of silk, leather, and cardboard presses down hard on her chest, constricting her lungs. It is a terrifying physical manifestation of her spiritual state. She is literally drowning in her stuff. Panic sets in as she struggles frantically to free herself from the suffocating embrace of the things she thought she owned, realizing with horror that they actually own her. The rich colors of her wardrobe seem to close in on her, dark, menacing, and suffocating, transforming her sanctuary into a tomb of excess. Having clawed her way out of the pile, Fatima stands shaking, disheveled, and panting before a full-length mirror in her room. She is decked out in her usual expensive attire, heavy gold jewelry, a silk outfit, a face full of flawless makeup. But today, the reflection she sees horrifies her to her core. The jewelry doesn't look like adornment anymore. It looks like heavy, cold chains binding her wrists and neck, weighing her down. The layers of expensive fabric feel like a stifling burial shroud. Her flawless makeup looks like a grotesque mask hiding a deeply unhappy, lost soul. She sees the profound emptiness in her own eyes, a spiritual hunger that no amount of shopping or accumulating has been able to appease. The golden light in the room feels glaring, harsh, and unforgiving, exposing every flaw and the ugliness of her ingratitude. She realizes with startling clarity that she has decorated her body with a fortune while letting her eternal soul starve to death. The mirror reveals the monster of excess she has become, a prisoner of her own insatiable desires. Shaken to her very core by the terrifying incident in her closet, Fatima desperately needs to escape her apartment. She goes for a walk to clear her head, intentionally straying far from her usual luxury shopping routes and finding herself in a poorer, run-down neighborhood she usually ignores completely. There, in a dirty alleyway, she sees the woman from before, Amina. Amina is carefully, methodically, and indignantly digging through a filthy dumpster behind a grocery store, looking for discarded food to survive another day. She finds a single, bruised, discarded apple and wipes it off with a look of pure, humble, and genuine gratitude that pierces Fatima's heart like a physical blow. At that precise moment, Amina looks up, and their eyes meet across the distance. Fatima stops dead in her tracks, completely frozen by the encounter and the weight of the realization crashing down on her. The raw, unfiltered reality of Amina's desperate need contrasted so sharply with her gratitude for a piece of actual garbage shatters Fatima's insulated bubble of privilege completely. She thinks with sickening horror of the extravagant feast she threw away at the restaurant without a second thought just nights before. A massive crack forms in the hard shell around her heart. An immense, crushing wave of guilt, shame, and realization washes over her. For the first time in her life, she truly sees the grotesque disparity between her own sinful waste and another human being's desperate want. That night, Fatima tosses and turns violently in her luxurious bed, unable to sleep peacefully, haunted by the image of Amina's grateful face holding the bruised apple. When she finally drifts into a restless sleep, she has a vivid, terrifying nightmare that feels more real than waking life. She is standing on the day of judgment, completely alone, naked and vulnerable before God in a vast, barren, scorching plain. Suddenly, mountains of physical items begin to appear rapidly around her. Every single piece of clothing she ever bought and never wore, every plate of expensive food she wasted in restaurants, every dollar she spent pointlessly on vanity. They pile up higher and higher, forming a towering, insurmountable wall of damning evidence against her, blocking out the light. A voice that vibrates through her very soul asks sternly, "My servant, I gave you immense abundance. What did you do with it? Did you think it was yours to waste freely while my other servants went hungry and naked?" The weight of accountability is crushing, undeniable, and terrifying. She tries desperately to speak, to make excuses, to plead her ignorance, but her voice fails her completely. Her own possessions testify against her. She wakes up gasping for air, drenched in sweat, her heart pounding wildly with the overwhelming fear of God and the profound realization that her immense blessings are actually a severe test that she is failing miserably. The next morning, Fatima wakes up not with dread, but with a new, fierce, and undeniable determination burning in her chest. She does not reach for her phone to check social media or plan an outfit. Instead, she goes straight to her overflowing closet, armed with stacks of empty boxes and huge black garbage bags. She begins a manic, ruthless, and deeply necessary purge of her life. She pulls down clothes she hasn't worn in a year, shoes that hurt her feet but cost a fortune, handbags she bought just for the logo that are gathering dust. She works for hours without stopping, sweating, tossing things into donation piles without a second thought or a moment of regret. It is physically exhausting work, but with every item that lands in a donation box, she feels spiritually lighter and more liberated. As the closet finally empties out, bag by bag, box by box, the physical space in the room seems to expand and breathe for the first time. The air feels lighter, cleaner, and easier to breathe. The oppressive, sickly golden glow of excess that had permeated the room begins to fade visibly, replaced by a cleaner, more natural, and peaceful light filtering in from the windows. She is physically removing the accumulated burdens from her soul, making space for something far better and more meaningful. A few days later, Fatima drives her luxury car, now filled to the brim not with new purchases, but with sealed boxes of high-quality donations and a thick envelope containing a generous amount of cash, to a local shelter. She spots Amina waiting patiently there among the crowd of people. Instead of just dropping the things off anonymously at the front desk and leaving, Fatima gets out and personally walks over to Amina. With a look of genuine humility and sorrow for her past actions, Fatima hands the boxes and the envelope directly to Amina. Amina's tired face transforms instantly with disbelief, then pure, radiant, overwhelming gratitude. Tears well up in Amina's eyes as she thanks Fatima profusely, making sincere, heartfelt dua, supplication for her. Seeing the immediate, tangible, life-changing impact of her giving does something to Fatima's heart that no shopping spree ever did or could do. A warm, powerful, beautiful, divine light seems to physically enter her chest, filling the massive, empty void she had tried desperately to stuff with things for so long. She feels a profound, undeniable connection to humanity and to Allah. Tears of true, cleansing joy stream down her own face. She has finally discovered the immense healing power of Infaq, spending in God's way, and the liberating joy of true gratitude. A few weeks later, we see Fatima back in her apartment. The space is radically transformed. It is unrecognizable. It is now minimalist, clean, organized, and radiates serenity. The clutter, the piles, and the overwhelming excess are completely gone. Her closet is neat, breathable, containing only the clothes she truly needs, uses, and values. Fatima is dressed simply, in a modest, elegant outfit, without the layers of heavy, ostentatious gold jewelry that used to define her look. She is sitting in a comfortable chair by a large window, bathed in soft, natural light, reading the Qur'an. She pauses occasionally to reflect deeply on the verses, looking out at the vast sky with a heart full of quiet, overwhelming gratitude for the second chance she has been given. A peaceful, genuine, and deeply settled smile is on her face. The restless, bored, dissatisfied, and constantly searching look is completely gone from her eyes, replaced by a deep, serene contentment, Qana'ah, that shines from within. The lighting in the apartment is soft, warm, and natural, reflecting the new peace that reigns in her soul. She looks truly rich now, in a way she never did before, not because of what she possesses, but because of what she no longer needs to feel whole or valuable. She has found freedom from the tyranny of things and the endless, unsatisfying cycle of consumption, anchoring her heart in the eternal instead of the temporary. Fatima looks directly into the camera lens, her face glowing with the quiet, confident strength of true gratitude and hard-won wisdom. We often think wealth is about how much we can accumulate in our closets and bank accounts, she says gently, her voice filled with deep conviction. But I learned the hard way that true wealth is simply having a contented heart that recognizes God's blessings. She pauses, her expression earnest and connecting deeply with the viewer. Every blessing you have, your food, your clothes, your money, your health, is a sacred trust from Allah. It is a test of your stewardship. When your cup is overflowing, it's not meant for you to build a bigger table just for yourself to feast alone. It's meant for you to build a longer table to share with others who have nothing. She smiles warmly, a light shining in her eyes. Don't let your possessions possess you. The only cure for the sickness of waste is gratitude, and the ultimate proof of gratitude is giving freely. Purify your wealth and your soul by sharing it. That is the only investment that truly lasts forever in the sight of Allah.